You make it look so easy though. Like watching that video, it just looked like it was like brushing your teeth. It was just easy.
It's all about the poker face.
It's a poker face. You have to put it on.
I'm like, no, I've just mastered it where I'm like dying inside and being like, this is really hard. And I'm just cool as a cucumber on the face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Innersleeve on the SoundMojo podcast network, the podcast taking a deep dive inside look at all things music. I'm your host, Cassius Morris, and today we're joined by two very special guests, all the way from out in the UK, Sophie Burrell and Cameron Brown. How are you guys doing today?
Hey.
Not too bad, man. How's it going?
Thank you guys so much for joining me. So, really quick to set the scene for the audience, where are you both located in the UK, starting with Sophie?
I am from as south as it gets, pretty much. I'm from Southampton, so, you know,
Okay.
It's kind of like self-explanatory. Cameron, on the other hand, where are you
I
from?
am from about as north as it gets almost. So
Okay.
pretty much the opposite end.
Very cool. So how does the connection come in with you both? How did you become aware of each other or meet each other?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a big artist community in the UK that's really interactive on Instagram from north and south and all sides?
I actually wouldn't say so.
Okay.
I actually think, you know what, most of my kind of guitar friends from Instagram are from the US mainly, I would actually say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know of a couple of others, but Cameron was probably the first, actually.
So it was sort of a rare thing to meet someone from your actual region.
Yeah, I would say so.
I remember just like scrolling through Instagram and seeing I think it was like Guitars Are Better or something, like some repost page shared a video with Sophie, and I was like, all right, I'll have a watch of this. Watched it, and I was like, wow, man. Like, follow it instantly, you know. That was it. So
Totally.
I don't remember how we actually got talking though. Like, I can't remember. It was ages ago, long time ago.
This was like 2017, right? Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. A while
I have
ago.
no idea. I can't remember this morning, never mind then.
No problem. So what's your interaction been like musically since then in terms of projects or things along those lines?
Cameron, go first.
I think we both kind of just like kind of hit it off as like really good friends to start with, you know, and then it's kind of just been like you know, sending back and forward ideas of stuff that we're recording and, you know, ideas for like Instagram and ways to like, you know, build a bigger following and all of that.
I definitely came to you and asked for like all of the advice, because when was it? I think it was January 2019. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I feel like everything sucks. And Cameron was absolutely on fire at the time and like going up mad following and getting reshared everywhere. And he gave me some really helpful tips. And I was just, you know, I'm eternally grateful for that because it really helped.
No, I hear you.
Welcome.
Well, you need to connect with like-minded people. Cameron, how long have you been playing the guitar? How many years back does this go for you?
This is going to make me feel horrendously old, but technically I've been playing guitar for like 22 years now.
You're getting up there. You're getting up there, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I started playing when I was 3. My dad's a guitar player, and you know, music's always been something around the house. You know, like when I was a kid, instead of like reading books to me when I went to sleep, he would sit and play guitar instead. So obviously it's always been a thing for me, and then he taught me my first chord when I was 3.5, and
Wow.
I kind of just messed around, and then once I was 11, that's when I started taking it like serious. You know, I was like, okay, guitar is what I want to do for the rest of my life, so I should probably start trying hard now, kind of thing. So yeah, feels weird to say 22 years though.
How old are you now?
25. Man.
Okay, so the vast majority of your life. Sophie, was music always in the house for you, or was that something that you suck out on your own?
Kind of. I mean, my parents were always massive music fans, and Pink Floyd was always on like throughout my childhood. And after watching the movie School of Rock when I was 5, I was like, I'm gonna be a rock star, and that was
Totally.
it. And I started actually playing when I was 9, I think. And then the rest is kind of history.
Wow. I mean, thinking about that movie, that must have been such a pivotal moment for many people. I mean, I'm 21, so in our sort of generation, because really seeing kids taking that initiative and teaching themselves. So that movie had a big impression on you.
It did. Yeah, massively. It's a favorite.
Wow. That's incredible. So Cameron, you must have been, or maybe not. I mean, were you performing from a young age? You were playing since you were 3. Were you getting on stage as a kid?
Not really on stage as a kid.
Okay.
I kind of like played for family members and stuff, but I've always been a pretty shy person, so it was a case of like me sitting playing guitar in the other room kind of thing, so that people couldn't see me. It took me until I was about 16 before I played my first ever show, and the first ever thing I played was a high school talent show, and I played Eruption. That was
Wow.
Okay, by Van Halen.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of ability at that point, are you nailing the Eruption solo, or are you getting through it?
So, a bit of a funny story. My dad got me into Van Halen when I was like, I don't even know, like 5 or 6, something like that, around that kind of way. And he never told me that it was difficult. And I didn't actually find out until a couple of years ago that he didn't tell me it was difficult, because he thought if he told me it was hard, I wouldn't want to do it. So he was just like, oh, Eruption, yeah, if you want to be a guitar player, you're going to have to do that. That's easy kind of thing, just like a wee bit reverse psychology kind of thing,
Wow.
So, yeah, by about 11, I could play. I mean, obviously, no one can play it as good as Eddie, but, I could play it probably just as good as I can play it now as I could then kind of thing. So,
Jesus.
That's insane. Yeah, that's so crazy. So at that point, were you experimenting with any plugins or amp settings to try to sound like Eddie Van Halen, or was that not in the picture yet?
Kind of. We had a Marshall in the house, so I've never been a digital kind of person, really. I've always been like, tube amp kind of, blow your head off levels of volume kind of stuff. That's where I've been at. But in terms of trying to get that sort of brown sound, so to speak, that didn't really come until a little later. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Sophie, you've been performing since a really young age. What age did you start performing?
So I was 9 when I started performing, and I recently released a video on this on my YouTube, like my whole guitar sort of journey until now. And the reason I was able to perform at such a young age was because I spent a few years learning at a rock school, and at the end, like twice a year, we would do these like charity shows where all our parents could come and watch, and we just raised money for charity. So that was the reasoning kind of behind that. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty lucky to have had that kind of opportunity to perform from such a young age. I think it's really important and quite a big part of it,
Yeah, and so the family must have definitely been supportive. They supported you going to the rock school. That must have been a dream come true. I mean, coming from seeing something similar to that on the screen, this must have been sort of a bigger version of what you saw.
Yeah, kind of like that. My brother also went to this rock school, so they were totally, all in support of us going to that. And I actually ended up like going through it and then going back as a teacher, like when I was like 16.
Wow.
So yeah, I stayed there for a while,
That's so cool. And I watched the video that you did about your evolution through playing, and it's just incredible to actually see that evolution and to see somebody, just sticking to their craft for so long. This is a question for you both. Has it been difficult to stick to it, or is it just second nature? Is it easy?
I'd say it's second nature for me. It's always been the thing I went to because I didn't do anything else. So it was like a no-brainer. Never really struggled to be like, oh, I have to play guitar today. It was like, I'm going to go home from school and I'm going to play guitar. That's kind of how it was.
Right. Cameron?
For myself, guitar's been a constant pretty much since I started. I've always had it kind of thing. It's like my safe place, if that makes sense. But there has been a couple of times where I've kind of fallen out of love with it. For a while when I was between like 15 and 16, I really started getting into drums.
Nice.
And then even this year, because I think it's because of the whole, pandemic kind of thing, I was playing guitar every day and I started getting super bored. So I ended up buying myself a piano and started teaching myself how to do that kind of thing. So
right behind you.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't really consider how big they are when I bought one, so it doesn't really fit in the room very well.
Trusty piano. But, so you've been expanding your musical output.
Yeah, it's actually helped. I've been recording an album for the last, well, it was supposed to be done by about summer this year, but I started, experimenting with piano stuff, and it's kind of broadened my way of thinking about writing, because piano is like a super melodic instrument, whereas when I pick up a guitar, it's just like ingrained into my brain that I have to play fast and have to do all the shred stuff kind of thing, whereas piano is like a totally different thing from that. So it's helped me actually pretty much finish the majority of the stuff that I've been writing, which is fun.
No, that makes sense. Sophie, do you play any other instruments other than guitar?
I dabble. in a bit of everything, yeah. I'd say, like, I play bass, but I play bass like a guitarist would, obviously.
Okay.
I've been dabbling in drums. I bought myself, like Cameron, a drum kit in April, start of lockdown, to try and just spend my time doing something else, I guess. So that's been quite a lot of fun. But I'd say the second sort of main one would be probably singing, which I've started having lessons for recently as well. So I dabble in a few things, but I do them all a little bit like half good. I'd say, guitar is where all the hours have been put in the other sort of instruments are playing catch up big time with that.
So that's how a guitarist plays bass. It's sort of in a different style than it usually would be. You can do a guitar solo on a bass. I don't care. Hey, I mean, listen to Cliff Burton and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely examples. Speaking of shredding and different styles, like Cameron, you just mentioned, and you also mentioned that you were playing the Eruption solo at 11. As a non-guitar player, I hear that people are often more impressed by the tapping parts of solos like that rather than the other elements. But I hear technical players say the other elements are way more difficult and take more skill than tapping. How do you guys feel about this? And is that accurate?
That's very true.
Okay.
It's actually kind of funny. There's a video of me somewhere on Facebook when I was at college playing the Beat It solo on stage, like the band that we had. Every other song we had to do was like Taylor Swift songs and stuff, but Beat It was like my one. That was the one that I was like, yeah, okay, now I get to have some fun.
Yeah.
So I played the Beat It solo, and there's 2 tapping sections in that solo, and those are the parts that got the biggest cheer, and those are the easiest parts of the solo. The rest of it's like blazing, and no one else really cared about those parts. And I was standing there like, are you guys hearing this?
That's so true. That tap slide section, I know exactly like what you're on about. The hardest one for me, I did a cover of Beat It a couple of months ago, and it did pretty well. Was the huge stretch with the going from the E to the B string, like.
If I heard it, I would know. that bit, you'll know it if you saw a video. You just know, like, that bit is just like so damn hard. The rest of it is not bad. That bit is hard. Yeah, but you make it look so easy though. Like watching that video, it just looked like it was like brushing your teeth. It was just easy.
It's all about the poker face.
It's a poker face. You have to put it on.
No, I've just mastered it where I'm like dying inside and being like, this is really hard, and I'm just cool as a cucumber on the face. You have to. Do you know what it is? It's because, like, Cameron can probably relate, actually. I don't know. It depends how you film. But if you can see yourself while you're filming, like, I always have my front-facing camera on my iPhone, so I can see myself. And if I look like I'm making a stupid face, I will stop it. Right, and restart. So, or you'll just pick up on it and then perfect the poker face. To make it look like. What was that?
This is why I don't film my face on Instagram. That's why it's just.
Oh yeah.
You do the handwork.
Yep.
No, that's one way to do it too. And I mean, man, does it take a long time to get a face like a poker face, or did you find yourself sort of just letting it show at first? Oh my God.
I mean, look at the video of my evolution, and you'll see me as a child, and I like. My parents, and it was so embarrassing, they used to just be like, yeah, you catch flies when you play guitar. Your mouth is wide open. And I was like, oh my God, I have to stop this from a very young age. So I've always been quite conscious of what I look like when I'm concentrating.
But it's just one of those things that comes with time of doing it, right? Because I mean, you're probably not doing it even when you're practicing, but when you're on stage, that's a whole different element. Yeah, was it hard to adjust?
Not really. I don't know. It'd probably feel a bit weird now. I haven't played a show in a long time. I say it'd probably feel weird. It'd probably feel nice. I think more than anything, it's adjusting to playing standing up would be from when I was playing on stage a lot. Like, it is quite a different thing to being sat down, especially with what you're doing. If it's difficult, standing up is like really hard, I find. Sometimes I had to do a live performance of the new track I released, and I wasn't sure whether it was going to be standing up or sat down, and so I had to practice it both ways. Standing up, I ended up having my guitar strap not quite this high, but like pretty high, just to try and like reach the stretches and stuff. And I was like, God damn it, I made this really hard for myself without realizing. Yeah, I don't know if you can relate, Cameron.
It's funny you talk about that stuff. You're talking about looking like you're catching flies. I always got in trouble for the opposite. Like old band members that I had, they were like, move on stage, like open your mouth, like do the cool faces and stuff, because I always looked like I didn't want to be there, kind of thing. So
you were just standing there.
Yeah, man. Again, it goes back to a confidence thing. But I discovered when I was like 18 that, through the drummer in my band at the time, he was like, have a couple beers before you go on stage and then you'll move. And it's right, it works.
Really?
So that's when I started doing the face stuff and the, moving a little bit more than just standing still, staring at the floor.
Oh.
The pre-show ritual. There you go. Yep. In terms of number one, or maybe not even number one, I guess just a couple of the main influences that when you think back to your formative musical years, that you say, yeah, this guy and this person are people that I listen to. Who are the main pillars in you guys' early musical days?
For me, first off, obviously, my dad being number one, and then after him, Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen's like my main guy. He's like the guitar player that I measure all other guitar players against, if that makes sense.
Right.
Then after him, it's three guys: Paul Gilbert, Jason Becker, and Guthrie Govan, and that's pretty much the main ones. Sean Lane's been a recent discovery of mine, which is criminal because he's incredible, but. Yeah, Eddie's like the main dude,
Oh, that's so sweet.
No, definitely. I mean, he's an absolute legend, and I don't know how you feel about it, Sophie, but I see that he seems to cut through all generations since he started, all eras.
Yeah, and 100%.
Yeah, he seems still relevant.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think he always will be.
Yeah, he'll be relevant forever.
Was he in your list of top guys, or were you more influenced by other people?
For me, Eddie was actually someone, like, I always knew Van Halen, and I'd be like, oh, it's that Van Halen song and stuff. Like, I'd always know. But as far as like guitar influences go, Eddie was actually later on when I was in my last band, because it was of similar genres. So I had to, do my homework. Right. It boils down to two guitarists for me, which would be, I don't know, I'd say Slash came first and then Mark Tremonti. Those two have been just solid characters, and everything comes down to both of them for me. Obviously, I like a lot of guitar players, but as far as the ones I was absolutely obsessed with for the longest period of time, those two.
Have you ever got the chance to see Slash?
Yeah, I've seen Slash quite a few times. I've met Mark a couple of times and seen him in a couple of his different sort of projects, so Alter Bridge and his solo project, like many times over the years. I would love to meet Slash though. That would be really, really cool. I don't know what I would say though, because like, yeah, I managed to hold it together when I met Mark, like I didn't fangirl overly, but Slash has been such a huge sort of idol, like on a I don't want to say like on a different level in that sense, but you're like, oh my god, like he was in Guns N' Roses, like one of the biggest bands of all time, yeah, strange to think about.
No, it's unbelievable. Cameron, have you ever had any brushes with any of your guitar idols or seen them live?
Guthrie Govan, I've met him 3 times now. Yeah.
Wow.
He's a fantastic guy. He's just like the most chill, for someone who can shred and play guitar as incredibly as he does. He's like the most chill person in the world. He's also like a genius when he speaks to you and stuff. You just get lost in the stuff that he says. And I met Bernie Marsden when I was 11, but other than that, that's pretty much about it as far as I'm aware. I've spoken to a couple of my guitar heroes on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, but other than that, not met them in person, kind of thing.
When you're talking with him, are you guys talking about guitar-related topics, or are you guys talking about just shooting the breeze?
Well, one of the first things that Guthrie Govan ever said to me was, "Do you have a lighter?"
There you go. Conversation starter.
That's one of the first things. But one of the first things I actually spoke to Guthrie about was when I was about 17. He introduced me to Sir guitars, and like I saw his guitar, and that's back then is when I fell in love with them. But other than that, it's mostly just been like "You're a god, please teach me your ways" kind of thing. That's pretty much what it's been. So
you try to focus on the music stuff, not just, talking, because I mean, I've talked with people who do different things, and a lot of comedians and stuff, and a lot of the time we won't even end up talking about comedy or whatever they do. We just talk about other things, and but it's always good to get some of that knowledge too. Definitely.
Guthrie, he's one of those guys that like lives and breathes music, so I think he's always up for talking about it. It's the same with his guitars and stuff. I
think it's his language. I don't think he does anything else. He is a wizard.
Yeah, right. Literally. He's a super nice guy. He always makes you feel like really calm and welcome around him and stuff. Which he's not like leave me alone, kind of looking down at you kind of guy. He's not like that at all. So I guess I didn't really meet him, but the biggest sort of honor for me in terms of speaking to one of my heroes was Jason Becker.
Wow.
You're aware with the story about Jason, but obviously because he has ALS, he can't communicate himself anymore. But posted a video of one of his solos. This was maybe about 2 years ago, and he had his dad write me like a message from Jason's Facebook page on Facebook, and I'm sitting there looking at my phone like, there's no way this is you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, but it turns out it was him.
I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. It's crazy how, the potential to reach people who have influenced you is so much higher now, because I mean, you can just contact them through social media, and on social media, how much of you guys' job do you find is posting things on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter versus making music? Because in this day and age, there's so much out there, you have to be constantly promoting yourself.
Yeah, it's very much so on the content side. I say all the time, I so wish I had more time dedicated just to songwriting. Everyone, that's for the reason. That's the main reason it took me so long to get my first release out, because you're having to spend so much time creating content, just to keep it up. Because if you don't, you fall behind very quickly. Because it's just a, ever evolving sort of like a digital sort of age, and you got to be really hot on it, I think. You put that pressure on yourself, don't you? But definitely wish it was more on the songwriting side than the social media side. And in ways, both of them have, different kind of perks, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a content kind of thing, but might be a tiny bit different for me because Sophie's got like 2 million more followers than I do.
That is not true.
I watched an interview with John Mayer not that long ago, and he was talking about how it's okay to kind of disappear off social media for a while. People aren't going to like forget you kind of thing. So, I mean, obviously if you disappeared for years, then people would be like, well, I don't care about that guy anymore.
Right.
But
I think you're right.
Yeah. I sort of took his advice, and I mean, the last thing I posted on Instagram was like the 10th of December or something like that. And I've just spent the rest of the time writing. That's pretty much it.
I need to learn from you.
I'm honestly, I'm one of these people that's like tunnel vision. I can't multitask. So it's like, okay, I'm either going to do a whole bunch of Instagram stuff, I'm going to play video games, or I'm going to write music. That's pretty much it. So.
And have like some time for each one instead of like jumping from thing to thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. I try to keep my stuff focused, because I mean, and that's why it's so cool talking to you guys, because I'm learning to play guitar and I'm watching you guys' videos, and I'm like learning Smoke on the Water, you know what I mean? Like I'm over here in the corner looking up easiest riffs. Yeah, that's where it starts,
That's where it starts.
It's so cool. What was the thing that you guys think, and I mean, it might be really hard to name, but because I'm asking these questions from an outside perspective, but was there an element that you incorporated into your playing that you felt took you from beginner to the next level? Was there any specific? Yeah, what was that?
Legato.
Okay, well, now what's that in layman terms?
Legato is a particular guitar technique, and when I learned it, well, it just sounds freaking cool. Everybody has the thing they go to. Some people might tap, some people might sweep. I like to legato a lot.
Okay.
And learning it, like at the time, I was just learning it because Mark Tremonti was like legato king, you know, still is. And after going to some of his kind of guitar masterclasses and stuff, I was like, okay, well, I should learn this. And like I was so young as well. I was like 14 when I started learning that technique. And like, I was learning it because I thought it was cool and my hero did it. But
Right.
At the same time, it did so much for my playing. It teaches you a lot about, well, you have to have really, really good finger strength and independence. And your economy of movement has to be like on point for it to sound clean. So it just cleaned me up as a guitarist massively. So that was mine.
Oh, Cameron?
For me, man, it was kind of, I mean, the way I learned guitar was by listening to my dad's Van Halen records and just learning each song kind of thing. I can play every song off the first 5 Van Halen albums, and that was just because of sitting down, like, you know, making sure that I could do it and, you know, learn every single note as good as I could kind of thing. But
That's crazy.
It is.
The thing that sort of got me into the shred kind of world was discovering Jason Becker. Because, you know, Eddie doesn't like sweep pick or anything like that in his songs. So once I got into Jason, I started learning all of that stuff. And I can remember it took me like months just to sit down and learn how to sweep on guitar.
Sweeping's a hard one.
Yeah. Once I discovered him, that was when I was kind of like, okay, this is this whole other genre of music where it's like a solo for 5 minutes instead of like a song and then a solo kind of thing. So I guess that's where the technical sort of side of things come from a lot.
Wow. And I mean, you have an extensive, sorry, you were going to add to that?
Oh, I was just going to say like that and Eddie, man. I mean, obviously Eddie, he was obviously technically incredible on guitar as well. But in terms of like the main vocal point of the song being shred, that was Jason that I learned that stuff from. So.
Right. So different points from different people. That totally makes sense. And I mean, you have an extensive collection of pickups and plugins, and I mean, you have the signature Eddie Van Halen guitar, the Franken Strat, correct?
Yep.
Okay, talk to me about how much Eddie Van Halen stuff do you actually own, and what things do you own? So I've got a 1991 Music Man Eddie Van Halen guitar that it's actually not mine. I bought it from my dad. This was 2018. They had been. Not to get depressing, but my dad had cancer, and obviously Eddie Van Halen is my dad's favorite guitar player too. So when he got out of hospital after having his surgery and he got the all clear, the day he came home, I was like, "There's a guitar case for you, open it," kind of thing, and it was an Eddie Van Halen guitar that I'd got him. Wow.
It was like his dream guitar. So I've got one of those. I use an EVH cab at the moment. I recently just got an amazing deal on a PV 5150 that someone down south in England was selling, so I was like, I can't turn that down.
Totally, gotta be looking.
I went and bought the EVH Franken Strat like replica guitar earlier this year, and I have an old Kramer that we spray painted to look like the one that he used, basically all through the 80s kind of thing.
Wow.
I've even got like a doorstop. I wish I had it with me right now, but I've got a doorstop that my dad spray painted like the Van Halen stripes.
Oh my gosh. One of the ones that makes the noise, right?
No, just it's like a wooden one that you just like stick up against. That's how bad the addiction is in this.
So it's an Eddie Van Halen household.
Pretty much, man.
Themed.
Wow.
You guys are like merchandise central.
Literally.
That's crazy though. So how much would you say in your experience does one of these pickups or plugins make you sound like the real album? How on par is it?
I work with the guys at Dunlop as an artist, and they send out the Van Halen stuff kind of thing, and the chorus pedal, the EVH chorus pedal, is literally like the Van Halen album Diver Down in a Box. You turn it on and it's like, there's that Diver Down tone kind of thing. That's probably one of my favorite pedals of all time, actually.
Wow.
But yeah, they're great. They sound fantastic, all of his stuff.
What do you think is the most difficult guitar part by Eddie Van Halen? Or the most impressive to you?
Oh, man. Okay, so in terms of solo pieces, I'd say Spanish Fly from Van Halen 2 is ridiculous, because it's all on like a nylon string acoustic guitar.
Right.
But in terms of a song, probably I'm the One from the first album. That's just the whole way through that song, the groove that he's got, the solo, and the fact that the solos on that was all improvised at the time. That's just mental.
Yeah.
So I go for I'm the One.
That is crazy. Do you think that Eddie is the number one guitar player of all time, or would you put somebody else if you were making your own list? And I can ask you both this question. Is there a number one?
Absolutely. Eddie Van Halen's the king for me, man.
For you? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, not taken away from Hendrix, what Hendrix done, incredible, but I don't think anybody will ever surpass Eddie and all the stuff that he done, because you need to remember that he came in and didn't just give you a couple of things. He changed the game, He like everything that you've seen now, like amps and the way guitars are built and everything like that was because of him. So
yeah,
that's especially like super Strat guitars, the guitars that I play and stuff. That's all,
his
Eddie.
Influence. Yeah, I would say so. I don't know. I'd say, yeah, potentially he's up there in the top 3. I think of people who absolutely changed the game.
Yeah. Who are the other two? Is it Slash?
Oh, I don't know. I could name a few, like Hendrix, Slash, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People like that.
I think Slash is my personal favorite guitarist, just because I feel like he encapsulates almost every different style. And I mean, he can give you a little sample of it and then move into something else. So, I mean, for me, he's just, one of the all-time greats. But it's so difficult to pick, especially because it goes over so many different styles. But you mentioned the impact of Eddie Van Halen, and it's still incredibly apparent. Like you see influences of Eddie, and one of the things that I was made aware of is that Eddie was one of the first guitar players to have a huge smile on his face.
Yeah, he really did.
He was one of the first guys to actually look really happy, and he wasn't trying to look threatening. So I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think he's ever going to be forgotten in terms of his influence and his legacy.
He won't. It'll go on forever, I think, and continue to influence like generations. Why did I say it like that? Generations, genre. Generations to come. Like, he's really left his mark on music as we know it.
So before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on a topic that is universal, and of course I saved it for the end because we want to talk about entertainment, music, and positive things. But in terms of the 2020 quarantine, you guys have both been active. You've both been mentioned that you've been writing and releasing music. What's this process been like with the quarantine? How has that affected you guys creatively?
I chose a very good year unintentionally to be out of the live scene.
You had chosen before this.
Oh yeah, because I left my last band in not October, what the hell, August of last year. So it was unintentional. Sorry. Obviously didn't know this was going to happen, but had it have been last year, like the pandemic year before, it would have totally messed things up probably. But It's actually worked out massively in my favor, and I'm very grateful for that, because I'm one of the only people I feel that I can say that. My work got busier, I had more time to work on content, and I prefer teaching over Skype. So it's fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it actually worked out favorably, obviously, other than everything going on in a personal sense. What about you, Cameron? Because you mentioned you've been writing the last couple of weeks.
Well, basically the whole lockdown thing at the start of it, I was like, yes, I'm going to have 2 albums worth of music done by the end of it. And we're at the end of 2020 and I've literally only got about 3 songs done.
Oh, I feel that.
Completely finished. But, at the same time, I think it's definitely been good for being able to properly take time and not kind of get too caught up in other things. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the end of this year being, over and done with, and see what next year's got to bring in terms of song releases and fun music stuff. So
definitely, and hopefully live concerts in a safe fashion, of course. I would like some of those
more than anything.
Yeah,
I would do anything to have that back again. Honestly, I can't express there's no comparison. That's where I am happiest.
Yeah.
And to not have that for a whole year has been horrible. So
seriously, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I know there's lots of concerts in the UK too. I mean, a healthy scene out there.
Yeah, it's not actually that bad here. As far as, a lot of my favorite bands come on tour over here and I can get to see them within a couple of hours of where I live. So not being able to see them has honestly been a drag.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm really looking forward to it coming back, and I really appreciate you guys sharing some time with me. I think you guys are both incredible at your craft, and I really respect the care that you guys put into it and the effort that you take. Starting with Cameron, where can people find you online, and what are you looking to get the word out about today?
Anybody can find me on Instagram at CamiB1. YouTube is just my name, although I'm not massively posting on YouTube very much. But yeah, I'll probably just go for Instagram, check out some guitar videos, and stay tuned for some new music in the early new year. So that's,
nice.
That's me.
And Sophie?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Sophie Burrell 1, on YouTube as Sophie Burrell, and on Facebook as Sophie Burrell X. Pretty much everywhere. Same as Cameron, really. Stay tuned for new news and new music.
Very good. And this has been the Innersleeve podcast. Sophie, Cameron, thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.